Hi guys, my name is Hillary with Barbell Acres, and today I'm bringing to you our family favorite sourdough chocolate chip cookies. Today we are using 100% whole grain einkorn flour. I know you're thinking, why are you using 100% whole grain? But I feel like it is healthier and also still tastes great. We like whole grain in our family just because of the health benefits. It is higher in protein, keeps you fuller longer because it has all of the grain and including the bran. It's higher in minerals, magnesium, selenium, and I still feel like we're not compromising on taste with the whole grain. How the cookies turn out is based off of how your sourdough is, and the heat in the house. I do like to measure everything in grams. I just feel like it's more accurate. So we're going to do 225 grams of einkorn flour. I'm going to do 5 grams. Okay. Then we're going to do half a teaspoon baking soda, quarter teaspoon of baking powder. Most of these ingredients are sourced through Azure Standard. I love buying in bulk, especially considering we make these cookies and other baked goods on a weekly basis. All right, bowl number 2. We're gonna put our egg in. Do 1 large if you can. Grab 125 grams. I'm gonna do 5 grams of vanilla extract. And then you can take a fork or a whisk. I'm just using a spoon as I have it here, but to mix that all up, break up the egg. Do 100 grams of granulated sugar, 100 grams of brown sugar. What I have right here is raw salted butter. All right, and now we're going to move over to our mixer. Okay, so I have the first bowl. I'm gonna turn that on. I'm just gonna mix that on a low speed, just about 30 seconds. To get the butter mixed in with the sugar. And then I'm gonna add my chocolate chips. You could do anywhere from 250 to 300 grams of chocolate chips, whatever you prefer. I'm going to grab my flour and I'm gonna slowly add that in. All right, after that's mixed, I'm gonna add in the wet ingredients. Discard my egg, vanilla, you hear how that changed? It's starting to become more of a cookie dough. So it doesn't need long to mix. I do make sure, brush everything down. Some of the sugar, at least in my mixer, gets stuck to the bottom, so I do try to mix that by hand a little bit so everything's properly mixed. And just for another 30 seconds or so, I just keep it mixed. All right, that should be good. All right, now that I have the dough, my husband and I like to be very accurate with the cookies, so you could just bake them into 12 balls if you don't care about the calories and macros of them. My husband and I, because we choose to count our macros throughout the week for the most part, I do like to feel like I have a pretty good serving and I'm not just guesstimating. So how I do that is I take the bowl, I empty it out, I take all the dough, I put it out, and then I weigh the dough as a whole. So it looks like it's about 1,000 grams. I divide that by 12. All right, and then we're gonna fast forward through this part in a second. I'm just gonna briefly explain how I source my einkorn berries. So some people have never heard of einkorn, which is totally understandable. I never had either until I kind of started to do research when my husband was having some digestive issues and he had to cut out quite a bit of food, and I wanted him to be able to enjoy gluten again and eggs. So I really started to pay attention to the sourcing of our food. And so it became very important to me to buy directly from the farmer. Buying organic was very important to me. And then also the quality of our grains as well. So to me, it's not even enough just to have organic grains, even though I do think that is an improvement on our regular grains that we eat. But einkorn, I found, because it's an aging grain, hasn't been modified throughout the time, so it tends to be, does still have gluten, but the structure of it is different, and it tends to be much easier for our bodies to digest. So once my husband started eating it again, and I started making it out of my own sourdough that I made, he didn't have the same problems that he was having. You will find einkorn dough, whether it's bread or something like this, is very sticky. Okay, so they do spread, so I like to have them about 6 on a pan. But back to the sourcing. So the way I source my einkorn is we are local to Lancaster County, so I love to travel about an hour from our house and find an Amish store. They tend to have really great prices, and they grow their own locally of the einkorn berries. But I don't always get down there, so when I don't, I do an Azure pickup, and that's where as I mentioned, I get a lot of our dry good ingredients. Now we are going to put them in the fridge for a minimum of 2 hours to overnight. So I'm probably just gonna do it 2 hours here for the time I have. These rolls are not hard and fast by any means. I've always had good results no matter what I did. I will see you back in a couple hours. So it has been over 2 hours now. Like I said, this does not have to be a hard and fast rule. You can do 2 hours, you can do 12 hours, you can do 24 hours. All right, so I preheated the oven to 375. I'm gonna put them in. Like I said, I have 6 to a cookie sheet. All right, I will see you back in between 12 to 15 minutes. All right, this is them up close. Nice and thick and chewy. All right guys, so that is it for today. Thank you for hanging out with me while I make my favorite chocolate chip sourdough einkorn cookies. Again, they are 100% whole grain, but do not knock it until you try it. Promise me that you will at least try them, even though they're whole grain and that they're einkorn. They are the best cookies we've honestly ever eaten. All right, thanks again for following along, and don't forget to subscribe.